London, October, 1898. The fog that morning was so thick that even the gas lamps struggled to glow. Dock workers heading toward the Thames suddenly stopped in silence, because lying in a narrow alley, beneath a flickering lamp, was the body of a man no one recognized. But what truly unsettled the police was not the body. It was the letter found in his pocket. A letter inviting him to that exact alley, at midnight, from someone who clearly wanted to settle a matter before morning. And whoever wrote that letter had vanished into the London fog. Constable Thomas Reed arrived first, young, nervous, and still new to the harsh reality of city crime. A small crowd had already formed. Dock workers whispered among themselves while staring down the alley. Reed pushed through.
"Stand aside, gentlemen."
At the end of the narrow passage lay a man dressed in a worn but respectable coat. His hat had rolled against a damp brick wall. No blood, no weapon, no clear sign of struggle, just silence and fog. Moments later, a black carriage approached. Inside was the man many officers trusted when cases became difficult. Inspector Edward Hargrave. Hargrave stepped onto the cobblestones and calmly surveyed the scene. He didn't rush. He didn't panic. Instead, he looked carefully at everything around the body. Because in 1898, detectives had something modern investigators rarely relied on anymore. Hargrave knelt beside the man. He checked the coat pockets carefully. Inside he found 3 items: pocket watch, a small notebook, and a sealed letter. The inspector studied the body again.
"No habeas corpus."
But the man's expression looked tense, almost as if his final moments had come with shock rather than violence. Hargrave then turned toward the crowd. Who discovered him? A tall dock worker slowly raised his hand. "My name is Arthur Bennett, sir." Bennett explained that he had been walking to the docks at dawn when he noticed something lying in the alley. "At first I thought he was drunk," Bennett said. "But when I got closer, he wasn't breathing." Hargrave listened quietly, but his eyes drifted upward, toward the windows of the nearby boarding house, where one curtain moved slightly. Someone had been watching. Later that morning, Inspector Hargrave knocked on the door of the boarding house. It was opened by Mrs. Margaret Whitlock, the owner, a stern woman with sharp eyes and little patience. "Terrible business," she said. "Yes," Hargrave replied calmly. "Tell me, Mrs. Whitlock, did you hear anything unusual last night?" She hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Around midnight, I heard 2 men in the alley. Were they arguing? Not shouting, but one voice sounded angry." Hargrave asked if she had seen their faces. She shook her head. The fog was too thick. But then she added something important. "One of them left quickly, and the other remained for a moment, before walking toward the river." That detail stayed with Hargrave, because it suggested something very specific. The victim had likely met someone he knew, and that meeting had gone terribly wrong. Back at the station, Hargrave finally opened the folded letter found in the victim's coat. Inside were only a few hurried lines. "Meet me behind Whitlock Street at midnight. Come alone. We must settle this matter before morning." No name.
"No signature."
Constable Reed leaned closer. "So the meeting was arranged?" "Yes," Hargrave said quietly. "But the question is, who wrote it?" Hargrave then examined the notebook found in the victim's pocket. Most pages were empty, except for a few notes, numbers, dates, and one address written repeatedly: a warehouse near the Thames docks, the same docks where Arthur Bennett worked. Hargrave closed the notebook slowly, because sometimes the man who discovers the crime scene knows more than he says. That evening, Hargrave walked alone through the dock district. The fog had returned. He stopped outside the warehouse mentioned in the notebook. Inside, faint lantern light flickered. Someone was still working late. Hargrave stepped inside quietly, and standing near the crates was Arthur Bennett, the same dock worker who had found the body. Bennett froze. "Inspector." Hargrave studied him carefully. "You said you discovered the body at dawn." Bennett nodded nervously. "But tell me something, Mr. Bennett." Hargrave placed the letter on a crate. How did you know exactly where to look? The dock worker's face turned pale. Outside, the fog rolled across the silent streets of London, and the truth about the crime scene of 1898 was finally beginning to surface. Was Arthur Bennett the killer? Or was he simply caught in something much larger? And what was the matter the victim had come to settle that night? In a time before fingerprints, before forensic science, detectives relied on something far more dangerous: human secrets, and Inspector Hargrave was about to uncover one that could shake the entire dock district. If you enjoy dark historical mysteries like this, subscribe now, because next week, we reveal what really happened in that foggy alley in 1898. And trust me, the truth is far more shocking than the crime.